All right, guys, what is up? You are back for another video with DataZero. This is your daily outlook prediction for stocks and cryptos. Video is not financial advice, should not be taken as such. Please do your own research and due diligence for buying any stock or crypto asset. We're going to be showing you AMC GME, SPY, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency in this video. This video is not financial advice. So as you guys can see, Bitcoin actually pumping right now. SPY also getting a decent pump to the upside. AMC closing at 216. We're going to break it all down and what we are looking at. Make sure you guys check out these videos. I dropped a video on the GameStop Gamer Awards and basically the GameStop Awards as well. And then we also looked at AMC's shareholder meeting. Make sure you guys check that out. Adam Aaron had a little bit of a message for investors at the end of it. So make sure you guys check that out. Let me know what you guys think about Adam Aaron and what he said at the end of that. Let me know what you guys think he means by that. But basically, I think he was blaming retail for what is going on. But a lot of people told me they didn't even get a chance to vote. Why? Because it was obscured and hard to find out how to vote. Even me, I had to dig for it, and once I digged for it, I had to make sure I had the control number and everything, or it wouldn't count. But let's show you guys what's going on with technicals as far as we're heading into Friday. AMC's max pain is sitting at $2.50, and GME's max pain is sitting at $22.50. Why are we talking about max pain? Max pain on Friday is the price target that market makers will try to push the stock towards because they make the most money off of options premium if they get that target. Now, they normally don't want the options in the money, so if it's the price is $22.50, they'll normally short for $22.49, $22.48, and if example, if AMC's max pain is $2.50, they'll shoot for $2.49, $2.48. Now, I don't think AMC is going to shoot to the upside towards $2.50, or GameStop's going to shoot to the upside towards that $22.50 max pain. But what I do think is going to be happening is a potential little bit of upside for the meme stocks tomorrow. Now, you guys can see AMC actually dumped down here heading into close, retesting that $2.15 level. If AMC is able to hold $2.15, we will recover back up to $2.20 and be in good shape. Overall, I told you guys, I hope I'm wrong about this, but I believe because we got the yes vote, AMC's macro is unfortunately going to be a overall downtrend, even though there are some upsides because we did get dilution. So they'll be able to get cash and stuff from that. I believe because of the effects of dilution, we're going to be in a dilution spiral and we're going to see a downtrend for AMC. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm in this with you guys. I'm in this. I'll be holding my shares. I do have shares and I'll be holding. I told you guys, I'll leave it up to you guys and I'll make a vote. So unless there's some type of crazy emergency where I have to sell my shares, I am holding my shares with you. Now you guys can see RSI is getting really, really low. So this is why I believe that AMC is going to be able to hold 215/210. I don't think we're going to be going lower than that. Yes, we could see some more downside before we see recovery, but I don't think we're going to be losing 215, 210 in my personal opinion. I believe we're going to be bottoming out around that level and then being able to push to the upside, overall making a higher low, which is bullish. I know that sounds crazy, but the reason why I think this is happening is because a lot of the sellers that we saw sold already before we got the vote. So as you guys can see, we had this major downtrend and then capitulation before we got the vote, and I believe that most sellers got exhausted and or shaken out before this happened, therefore pricing a lot of this in. Now, we can't price in everything because the dilution can come randomly and it's a lot of dilution, but I believe a lot of it did get priced in. So I believe AMC is going to be able to hold 215, 210 around that range and then be able to push up from there. We are retesting 215 right now as we speak. Also, with the bullish max pain tomorrow, I think there's a chance that AMC will recover. There's a chance that we have to retest 215 in the morning. So you might see basically like a consolidation, drop down and retesting 215, maybe even going a little bit below that. But I think ultimately what you're going to see is AMC push towards 217/220 tomorrow, holding the 215 level as support. Now, if we did lose 215, we have major support at 212 and 210, which I believe we would hold those ranges. But I think 215 is just strong enough support that we'll be able to hold that tomorrow. And with the setup that we have, we should be able to bounce. RSI getting close to oversold here on these hourly time frames. RSI is getting very, very low. So if we did pull back, RSI would get even lower. Buyers would step in and you would see a push to the upside in my personal opinion. Also, GME tracking perfectly with my prediction. As you guys can see, GME got knocked to the downside. I told you guys this would be happening. GME had gap fills to the downside, which had to get filled, but I told you guys we'd be holding 2150 as support, and you guys can see that's exactly what we're doing. So as you guys can see, 2150 is being held as support, and I believe that's going to remain the trend. Now, if we do lose 2150, we're coming down for $21 even, or maybe 2091. Those are our next levels of support, but I don't think that's going to be the case. What I think is actually going to be the case is GME is going to see a little bit of bullishness tomorrow and potentially be able to recover. If GME is able to get back above the key level of 2247 to about 2310, that is a very significant sign that GME is going to be recovering and pushing back to the upside. As you guys can see here with my prediction, I think we're going to be moving back to the upside here soon, holding the key level of 21 to 2150. If you go ahead and look here at GME, we have multiple reasons why I believe GME is going to be pushing back to the upside. It's also tracking perfectly with my predictions that I've had on my last couple of videos. I told you guys we're going to pull back and move back to the upside. Now, they are shorting us heavily. They're trying to keep us down. They're trying to keep us from recovering. You guys can see we have these sell orders here. Also, GME shorting volume has been going absolutely crazy. You can see all of those gray candles. Those are shorting volume, and you can see it's increasing. Cost of borrow is slightly rising. Right now, they have 5.5 million short shares, and they have been using them, so they have a decent amount of short shares on GME, so they're definitely trying to keep us from recovering using manipulation. Cost of borrow at 0.53%. AMC short shares have been a little bit lower, but cost of borrow dropped significantly, especially now that they are available to get those shares, and a lot of people think those shares are locked up. That is actually not true. AMC can set up right now, since those shares are authorized, they can set up something where they can sell those shares. They now have authorization to sell the shares. Those shares are in the war chest to be sold. They are not locked up for 6 months like a lot of people are saying. They are allowed to sell now that they got approved by shareholders. So that could happen at any time. If they dilute at these low levels, I think that's stupid. I think it's better to dilute at higher levels. But me personally, I think Adam Aron is not for us, and basically destroying us from the inside out. And based off what I'm seeing on the community, a lot of people are not happy with Adam Aron. Let me know what you guys think about Adam Aron. But AMC, I know it sounds crazy. I think it's going to see a little bit recovery. We could go back up to like $2.50, $3 when it's all said and done. I believe that a lot of this is priced in. As far as tomorrow is concerned, I think we could see a little bit of bullishness based off the max pain, heading back towards $2.17 or even $2.20. If you see AMC break and hold 220, that's a very significant sign where we can start to recover and push back towards 230. 230 is the major level you want to see break and held. That way we can move towards 250, which is a major psychological level and would be a sign of complete recovery towards possibly even as high as $3. Now, GME, as far as the macro is concerned, I think it's going to be recovering back towards $27, maybe even much higher. GME has all of these gap fills to the upside now. You guys can see on the daily time frame, GME has a gap fill starting here at about 22.43 all the way to 23.10. Then we have these gap fills here at $28 and $29. We also have this falling wedge in play. This falling wedge is an indication that we're going to be going to at least $25 to $27. We also have this fractal potentially in play as well, which I'm basing all of this price action off, and technicals as well. And the fractal says we could be pushing to the upside decently as well. And if GME is able to get to $30 to $32 or higher, things could get crazy, ladies and gentlemen. And GME has been making money off of the warrants. The warrants are a way for GME to make money. Here's proof that they do make some of this money. This is in the earnings report. But basically, all of the major events that are going to be shaking us up, GME earnings, GameStop awards, shareholder event, already happened for the meme stocks, so there's no major news as far as the meme stocks are concerned. I will be giving you guys more information in the weekly outlook and prediction, but as far as tomorrow is concerned, I think we could see a little bit of bullishness in the beginning of the day. It might start off a little bit slow, then we'll push to the upside. GME maybe even being able to reclaim 22. If GME is able to reclaim 22, that's a very bullish sign. But then I think we're going to see a little bit of bearishness in the afternoon. So be ready for that. Pretty much an overall flat day, maybe slightly green for the meme stocks. But I think we're going to see a push to the upside, maybe rejecting from $22 and then coming back down, having to retest 22.80 or 21.80. But if we're able to hold 2180, we are in good shape. I don't think GME is going to be going much lower than 2150 to 21 even. So this is what we're looking at for GME. AMC, I think we're going to be able to hold 215. If we lose 215, we have support here at 210, but I don't think we're going lower than that. AMC should be able to push up towards 217/220 tomorrow. That's what we're looking at for the meme stocks. Let's go ahead and move into SPY in the overall market, show you guys what's going on there, and then we will go into BTC and crypto. So SPY got a little bit of pump here in after hours, as you guys can see. I think SPY should be able to hit like 690 50, 691 tomorrow, but overall RSI is getting really frothy. Things are getting really hot. Also, if you look at SPY's max pain is to the downside. It's sitting at 685. So I think what we're gonna see in the morning is a spike to the upside going towards like 690.50, maybe 691, 691.50, around those ranges, but then start to pull back, ladies and gentlemen. We are at all-time highs here for SPY in those ranges, and it's going to be really hard for SPY to hold that, especially while the RSIs are this hot. They're very hot on the bigger time frames. Also, I think that once these gaps to the upside get filled for NASDAQ's going to potentially pull back. So on the micro, I think SPY is setting up for bullishness, but as far as the macro is concerned, I think we're going to start seeing a potential drawdown. You guys can see RSI extremely hot here on the monthly time frame. When we normally get this hot on RSIs on the monthly time frame, we see these pullbacks here in the overall market. You guys can see it happened here, it happened here, it happened here. Every time we get into these overbought territories on the monthly time frame, we have significant pullbacks on SPY. So there is little to no room to run on SPY as far as the macro is concerned. Micro, because of the rate cuts, because everyone flooding into the market, I believe we're going to see some bullishness up towards those price targets that I gave you, and that's going to be happening in the morning. But heading into the afternoon, 2 p.m. power hour, I think we're going to see a little bit of a drawdown here for SPY. So expect a potential pop up in the morning / afternoon, then a drawdown mid-afternoon, potentially a little bit of recovery in the close. But this is what we're looking at for SPY. There is no major data drops tomorrow for SPY, and I do want to point out that the fear and greed is starting to move into neutral. So we're getting actually back towards those greed and extreme greed territories, which would mark a top. Again, do the opposite of the herd. Be greedy when others are fearful. Be fearful when others are greedy. Right now we are in neutral, but if we were to go higher, we would quickly go into that greed territory, which is also a sign on the macro that we could potentially see a pullback. So this is what we're looking at for SPY in the overall market. Let's go ahead and move into BTC crypto, show you guys what's going on there, and then wrap up this video. So Bitcoin is in a very interesting stage right now. We're in a little bit of a bear flag, and we are recovering after we bounced off the key level of 90,000. But since we're in this bear flag, what I think we're going to be seeing here is a little bit of rally here for BTC, maybe even up to 100K, but we'll probably reject from that. Now we have technicals and a fractal backing up the price action that we are expected to see. And when the technicals and the fractals come together, that's when we get some of our best predictions. As you guys can see, Bitcoin is potentially bottoming here around that 80 to 90K floor. You guys can see all of these green bars. Those are buy orders from Smart Money. Those are large buy orders. So it looks like there's a lot of people accumulating BTC and crypto in these ranges. Now, even if you don't hold BTC, you want to be rooting for BTC because Bitcoin controls most of the market. Bitcoin dominance sitting at 56.9%. We're not in altcoin season right now. If we were in altcoin season, Bitcoin dominance would be like 45% or lower. And since Bitcoin dominance is so high, when Bitcoin pumps, altcoins will pump. When Bitcoin dumps, altcoins will dump. So this is why I think Bitcoin is potentially going to consolidate and push to the upside. You can also see crypto fear and greed right now in fear. And again, be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. And we are actually in extreme fear. Extreme fear normally marks bottoms, and extreme greed normally marks tops. And we just recently got out of extreme fear. This is why I think this is an accumulation time for BTC. Now, what I think BTC could do on the macro is get a push above 100K eventually. And it looks like the fractal is on point because we break above 100K, retest it, and then get a big boost up. And that's exactly what you would have to to see. If Bitcoin breaks and holds 100K, that's a huge sign of recovery. And if we were to see this recovery, it looks like we could definitely see a potential altcoin season, as those normally do happen in the later half of the bull runs. You guys can see that if we did get that bounce, it would take us back above the bull market trend line, and that would put us back in a bull market where we could potentially see a potential altcoin season before further downside coming back down for potentially a lower low. If this fractal were to continue, this is exactly what it would do. It would come up, make a slightly higher high, and then pull back. But that would give people a chance to exit and people a chance to make some decent money, especially if they accumulated down in these ranges, which is what I think smart money is doing right now. So the technicals are showing us that we're probably going to see a continuation up towards like 95, 100K. Break down from there, retesting 80K to 85K, holding those levels of support, consolidating, and then moving up. So I don't think the Bitcoin bull run is over just yet. I think we're in what I call a mini bear market, as we are below the bull market trend line. If we're above this trend line, we're in the bull market. If we're below it, we're in the bear market. I think we're in a mini bear market right now, which is going to lead to a consolidation and then push back to the upside and maybe even a altcoin season. Now, if we did get an altcoin season, coins like Ethereum and XRP are looking extremely good. XRP, why? Because we have the XRP ETFs coming into play, and the XRP ETFs, there's more of them coming out, and they're getting a lot of inflow. So that's showing a lot of institutional interest, and it's a spot ETF, so that's going to drive up the price ultimately. XRP is in a buy zone in my personal opinion. I believe it's being accumulated between $2.20 and $2. Anything under $2 is an absolute steal in my personal opinion. I believe right now XRP is being accumulated before it makes another move up once BTC pumps. Also, Ethereum's been looking really, really strong, making higher lows and higher highs this whole entire time. So this looks really good. Even Ethereum sometimes outperforming BTC on some days where Ethereum is green and BTC is red. Now, it's not by crazy margin, but Ethereum looks strong. So if you were to see a pump on BTC, you would definitely see a pump on Ethereum going back towards like 4,900, maybe even 5,000. So again, I think right now we're in an accumulation zone for things like Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin, and these are actually going to be moving back to the upside, believe it or not, when it's all said and done. Ladies and gentlemen, this was your daily outlook and prediction for stocks and crypto. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. Show people who watch the end, and that helps me out immensely. If you guys want to support the channel, you guys can check out the merch store. I'm rocking some of the merch right now. You can also leave a comment, subscribe, and share the videos. But if you don't want to do any of that, make sure you do this most of all. Have fun, stay safe, make money. Peace out.